Hello, everyone. So I'm feeling a little under the weather. Not even sick, just like the throat is kind of been weird. And so I was thinking today I would just do a Q&A. Maybe keep it kind of short. I didn't want to like not do anything because I really love doing these Tuesday things. But I can I get that feeling in my throat sometimes where I know if I sing I'm gonna lose my voice, and I'm really trying to be better about that not happening. And so far, I've gone this entire quarantine without having to miss a Tuesday. So that's been good. So I used to have to, man, on tour, I would get all kinds of like crazy stuff happen to my vocals, to my voice and my throat. So I didn't want to miss today, but I thought maybe we could just do like a Q&A or something. Keep it kind of short. But if anyone, has some burning questions that they want to ask, today's the day. Because I feel good. I feel like I can talk. Don't really feel like singing is going to happen today. Um, so thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I feel like it was a good week. I've been wanting to make lentils, and today I found a great lentil recipe and made some delicious lentils. So good. But I've got let's see. I was thinking about DJing too, just like DJing instead of singing, but like Facebook and YouTube get really weird about like you DJing nowadays. They just like flag everything. So I don't know. Can you hear the music in the background? I'll show you guys what I'm listening to. It's let's see. Where? It's this. It's one of my favorite dub records. Ja Lloyd, Herbs of Dub. Um, I was introduced to this by Roger Steffens. It was completely different label and different art, different band name. It was called Kaya Dub, not the Bob Marley album, but I did hear that someone had re-released this or like reissued it separately, but it's all the same tracks anyway. It's one of the great dub records. Check it out. What's up, Rachel? I'm having some throat issues today, so I'm probably not going to sing, but I wanted to like come on here anyway, at least for a little while, and do like a Q&A. If anyone's got stuff they want to talk about, let's talk about it. And I was thinking of DJing, like I was saying, but Facebook and YouTube shut that down real quick. The last few times I've tried, especially Instagram. I'm not even doing Instagram today, so yeah, Instagram like kicks you off right away as soon as you start DJing. It's really bad. But this is what we're listening to. Can you guys hear that in the back? I didn't want to have it be too loud, but that's what's going on. I hope everyone else is doing well. I've been lucky so far. Like all of quarantine and all of winter, I've not gotten sick. But I think today something kind of got me. Woke up feeling a little weird. So hang out here for a few minutes, do a Q&A, see if anyone's got any questions they want to ask or things they want to talk about. And if not, maybe we'll just call it a night pretty soon. Jeremiah says louder on the tune. Okay, let's see. So that's the thing. I don't want Facebook to kick me off. Let's see. Maybe that's a little better. Their systems like really quickly flag music, but maybe this album isn't gonna get flagged. Okay, let's see. Matt says, "What's your favorite Expander song to play, or favorite from the albums?" Okay, cool. Questions coming in. All right. My favorite Expander song to play definitely changes. Let's see. Live, I really always liked playing People Business. We didn't do it too much, but I really liked playing that one. Turtle Racing was always fun. Oh, you know what? It was probably Iron Throne. I would say Iron Throne. Yes, lentils. I'd say Iron Throne was probably my favorite because it's just a super fun song to groove to, like just pocket wise when you're playing it on stage. Really fun to sing, and we would give our toast in the middle of it, where we would talk about the importance of being anti-racist in in reggae music, and then we would go into like the Kid Is I tune and a Freddie McGregor song. So yeah, Iron Throne was maybe my favorite. Um, hey Devin. Okay, let's see. Samuel, what is it? Okay, so what is your favorite Expander song to play or favorite from the albums? My favorite song we ever recorded, I have a lot. I love Snow Beast, but I think Piece of Love might be my favorite from Hustling Culture. I just think that was maybe like our best combination of like the band nailing it. I really like the song, and the vocals came out really good. So maybe Piece of Love from the albums. Sean says, "Can we get Asher on the Pod Clash? He's my favorite drummer." Yes, absolutely. It was Asher's birthday yesterday. Actually, I was talking with him, or we were texting. But we're gonna have the Expanders on for sure. I was just waiting for them to put out something. When they get close to some kind of release, I think that'll be when I'll ask those guys to come on. But yeah, for sure, Asher will be on the Pod Clash. Absolutely. Okay, so Samuel, what's up? Says, "Hey Devin, what is it like to be home all the time now? Better relationships, family time?" Oh, look, I can put these up on the. Check this out. There we go. It's weird to be home all the time. That's for sure. I had been playing in Long Beach Dub All Stars for a few years, and we were supposed to be on tour all summer. We just put out a new album, and it was going to be a cool tour format too. Like we weren't just going to be gone for a long block of time. We were going to like fly out on a Thursday, play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and come home Monday and be home Monday through Wednesday. And I was really stoked on that, and just really bummed that didn't get to happen. I try not to be too bummed because I know a lot of other people have been affected by this whole situation. And overall, I've been pretty fortunate. But yeah, not playing has sucked. But has it been good for the relationship? I don't know. Vanessa, has it been good for the relationship?
Yes and no.
She says yes and no. I think, like Vanessa and I have been together for so long, since before I started touring. So we've been together for my entire touring history and touring career. So like we got really used to it, and it sucked, and being apart from each other sucks, but we learned how to make it work. And Vanessa says, also, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And are you saying, how can I miss you if you won't go away?
Yes.
Jeremiah says, what do you miss the least about touring in the States? You're welcome, Samuel. Touring in the States, the thing I miss the least is what? Well, the thing I miss the least is the anxiety of like driving through lots of parts of America where you just weren't sure what was going to happen. We got pulled over at least a couple times per tour. And so like one time we got pulled over in Alabama, and I was always the one, like as the white dude in the band, I was always the one who would go talk to the cops, and I unfortunately got pretty good at that. And I remember getting us out of a situation. This cop just really was trying to get me to tell him that we had weed in the car, and he just kept me there on the side of the road forever, trying to tell me like, that if I was lying, I was going to jail. And did I want to bet jail time on, my answers I was giving him? And I just kept telling him, we don't travel with weed. It's a banned policy. And he finally let me go. So he let us go. I don't miss stuff like that. That kind of anxiety is what I really don't miss. Jeremiah says, sounds like she's ready for you to go on tour. Man, I think we both want things to get back to normal for everybody. I wish there was a way for musicians to not have, to make a living without having to be on tour all the time. Because traveling is really fun, and playing music and meeting people is really fun. But when you start doing it, 3, 4, 5 months out of the year, and you're at the level that kind of Expanders were always at, where there was always people coming to our shows, or usually people coming to our shows, but we never got to the tour bus level. We were always traveling in a little van and having to really spend all our money on having to choose between like making money or and being completely uncomfortable because there's 6-7 dudes in 1 or 2 hotel rooms, or spending some money for hotels and getting some sleep and having some privacy, but then you're not making any money. And we never really got beyond that level financially, and so that part sucked. I don't miss that, but I do miss just in general being able to go play. And I wish there was a way, like I said, to do it like maybe a total of 2 months out of the year and broken up. I think that would be ideal. But the music industry being the way it is, and streaming and revenues in general being the way they are, you really can just only make money by being on the road. That's just the reality of it right now, unless you get some kind of big licensing deal. I remember Expanders got considered for, there was a Corona commercial you guys might have seen. It was on the air a lot until maybe like 6 months ago, with the Corona rolling all over the place, and it had that old Rocksteady tune that by Hopton Lewis, the "Take it easy, take it easy, take it easy, no need to worry." And Expanders were in the running for that. They wanted to use "Moving Along" for that commercial, and it was going to pay really, really well, and we ended up not getting it. But stuff like that you can make money from. Other than that, man, you got to be on tour. Thanks, Jeremiah. Well, you guys have good questions. Yeah. For anyone just tuning in, little under the weather. I can feel that if like I start singing, I'm gonna lose my voice, and once I lose my voice, it takes like sometimes weeks for it to come back all the way. So I just like don't want that to happen. So I didn't want to miss this though, because I really, really like look forward to and value these Tuesday night things. So I wanted to come on and at least do a little question and answer for a while. So if there's anything else you guys want to know, I'd be happy to get into it. Let's see if I missed anything. Rachel's laughing at my lentils. Yep, I learned how to make some lentils tonight, which is like a basic thing, right? And I cook a lot, but I just somehow never got around to lentils. So I borrowed this Italian vegetarian cookbook from my mom, and there was a great lentils, spicy lentils and veggies thing that was really good. Delish. Yeah. So let me know if there's anything else you guys want to know about. I can tell you that we're finishing up the artwork and masters for the album this week. So like by the end of this week, the album will be officially done. And then, like I've told you guys already, it'll be out late summer, early fall. But we're trying to wrap it up right now because it takes about 9 months for vinyl to get pressed nowadays, because there's only a few vinyl pressing plants in the world, and everybody uses them. And so what happens is like everybody, the same plant that might be pressing my, vinyl run of 500 copies is also like doing the new Beyonce album or something. And so when they get that big order in from Sony or whatever it is, those get bumped to the, front of the list, and they have to press, a million records before they get to the little ones. So that's why vinyl is taking so long right now. And, but yeah, my album will be out in the late summer, early fall, but we're wrapping it up this week, the art and everything. Oh, let me flip the record real quick. Don't go nowhere. Yeah, we're listening to this Herbs of Dub by Ja Lloyd. It says it's King Tubby on the controls. I doubt that, because it's not the right time period, but who knows? Everything says King Tubby, and most things are not actually King Tubby. You can't pre-order it yet. It's going to come out. I can't officially announce the label it's going to come out on yet, just because it's not officially announced, but it's all set. And everyone will know about pre-order and stuff like that far in advance, I promise. But as of now, just know that it's done, and I'm super stoked on like the way everything is turning out. Okay, let's see. Rachel says, "What is your detective work process for music?" I mean, like, how do I find like music that I like to listen to? Nowadays, I use YouTube and Spotify. I'm currently involved. I started a little project. I use the elliptical machine like 5 or 6 times a week, and I need to like have a project on the elliptical machine because it's so fucking boring. And so this project I started is I'm trying to like compile a master Spotify playlist of all the good, what I consider to be the good reggae that exists on Spotify. Um, I'm up to a little over 2,000 songs right now, and it's everything from ska like to dancehall. A few modern bands. I'm not into like a lot of modern reggae, but the stuff like in terms of like American reggae, but the stuff I do like is on there. And if anybody wants that, by the way, I'm totally like down to share that. Hit me up and I will send you a link. And it's cool because I'm adding to it all the time, so you could just like keep rechecking. It's a public playlist. It's called. You could probably even search for it. It's called. Here, I'll tell you what it's called right now. It is called. It's called Man-Like Sound Reggae Master. Let's see. Man-Like Sound Reggae Master. And that's master as in the master list. I'm not calling myself a reggae master with that title. But so I've been doing that on Spotify. But then the thing about reggae is that there's still so much that's never been digitized. And so you can't find it on Spotify. And so, collectors will upload songs to YouTube. And so I go to that for a lot of stuff. But the way I got into reggae was I've been listening to reggae for, a little over 20 years. I'm 37 and I was around 15 or so when I really got into it. And it was my best friend, Ben. Shout out Ben, who is the original drummer for the Expanders and is the drummer currently, an original member of the California Feet Warmers. He really got me into it because he was friends with another kid named Devin, who is the son of Roger Steffens, who coincidentally will be our guest this Saturday on the Reggae Pod Clash. Oh, wait, I should take that question off. Sorry, Samuel, you've had your time. How do I get that off? Yeah, but we used to go to Roger's house in the early 90s. The late 90s and early 2000s, before you could really find much reggae on the internet and make tapes. And that's how I really got into reggae. Plus, Chuck Foster, who's a reggae DJ here in Los Angeles, he has a show called Reggae Central, would be on every Sunday, and we used to listen to that all the time and make tapes off of that. So that's really how I used to discover reggae. I hope that answered your question, Rachel. Kyle said, you ever done anything with Sly and Robbie? No, never have. Would love to. The closest connection I have to them is Black Shakespeare, who is one of the singers in the Lions, which is a reggae band in LA that I've played in for years. Shakespeare is Robbie Shakespeare's nephew. So there's my Robbie Shakespeare link. But I've never worked with them. Andrew Hatfield says, does Gus like reggae? He does not generally like when I play guitar or sing because that means that I'm not hanging out with him. So I'd have to say no, unfortunately. Gus does not like it. Okay, Nick says, thoughts on white reggae artists who don't give respect back to the roots and history of the music. I've talked about this a bunch. I just think it's kind of like a no-brainer to me. It's like, this is where reggae music came from, the impoverished ghettos of Jamaica, created by Black people living in, under the oppression of colonialism and with the legacy of slavery, in a, really brutal system, part of the African diaspora. This is where reggae music came from, and you can't really separate it from that. I do understand escapism in music and wanting to use music as a source of escaping from, the issues in life, but that's really a privileged thing to be able to do anyway, is to just say, well, I don't want to think about this. And as a white person, I can, step out of this whenever I want to, because racism isn't confronting me in the face every day of my life. But even aside from that, I understand music as escapism, but to me, if you're going to just have music be a feel good thing that you want to party to, then that's fine, but you probably shouldn't call it reggae music. It's probably some kind of different, call it like beach rock or something like that, which is cool. I'm all for that. But you probably shouldn't call it reggae. I don't know. That's my quick answer to that. Let's see. Kyle says, can't wait for that album. Andrew says, anything cooking with that collaboration with Clinton Farron? Well, we're going to have Clinton Farron back on the show in mid-January. He's going to be our first repeat artist. So other than that, we haven't done an official collab with Clinton. We want to. We really, really want to. Roger Rivas and I are always talking about that, and it'll happen. There's just so much going on, and finishing the album has really taken a lot of time for me. Thank you, Kyle. Yes, songs of hustling and struggling. I mean, and reggae music has its share of love songs, right? Its share of like songs that are fun. And, you know, of course, like, look at Bob Marley. Like, of course, Bob Marley has a song called, you know, Rastaman Vibration, you know, positive, talking about positive vibes, and you have to have a good vibe. And that's certainly part of it. But, you know, he's also got Talkin' Blues, where he says, I feel like bombing a church now that we know the preacher is lying. You know, so it's like, you it's got to have both to me to be reggae music, because that's just where reggae music comes from and is. And like the t-shirt says, you know, you can't, if you're going to love black culture, then you have to love and support black people. And I don't think you can do that as a white reggae artist, choosing to completely ignore. There's a lot of bands in this scene, in the American scene, that, you know, on social media this summer were really silent. You know, you could tell they didn't want to rock the boat. And there were a lot of bands that did speak up. You know, I'm not painting, like, this is not a blanket thing about any one scene. Every scene has different kinds of, you know, people in it. But definitely there were some bands who didn't, you know, you could tell they didn't want to rock the boat. And they were afraid that their bottom line and their financial situation when touring started again would take a hit with, you know, Trump supporters in the middle of the country who come out to their shows. And it would. They're right. It totally would take a hit. But, you know, it's also possible that you gain some more diehard fans by just speaking the truth, speaking your own truth, you know? So that's what I think about that. Kyle says, do you like Eka Mouse? I love Eka Mouse. You know, his early 80s stuff, you can't, I mean, that's just so original and so dope. Ganja smuggling and all that stuff. So good. One of the first, when I was first getting into reggae, I mentioned Roger Steffens, and we had Ben Malamet had a tape. It was Eka Mouse 1984 live at the Reseda Country Club, which is this venue here in the San Fernando Valley, which is where I grew up, which is a suburb just 20 minutes north of Los Angeles. And they used to have this venue called the Reseda Country Club, and it's not there anymore. Peter Tosh played there. Bad Religion used to play there, but there was a great Eka Mouse show. Kyle, I'll do some Eka Mouse for sure next time. Andrew says, any reggae you just can't stand? Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's really my place to like name the artists or like this what I can't stand. You know what I mean? I'd rather talk about in a public setting the things that I do like, because, you know, just because I don't like something or some band doesn't mean that I wish them anything but success, you know? So I don't want to like really like name names, but yeah, for sure. There's lots of artists that I don't want to say lots, but there are definitely some artists where, you know, I either just straight up don't like their music, or I'm kind of disappointed in their silence on a lot of important issues when they have a platform, and they're choosing not to talk about things, and that rubs me the wrong way for sure. Samuel says, what is your favorite festival to play at? Back in the day, it was the Sierra Nevada World Music Festival, hands down. We backed Leonard Dillon, Vernon Maytone, Pat Kelly, Roy Shirley. We played Roy Shirley's, what ended up being his last show. He passed away 2 weeks later. The rehearsals that we would have at the festival the day before the show, there was this barn across the street, and all the artists would rehearse there. So that whole thing was just, I was going to that festival as like, I think the first time I went, I was like 20 years old or something, maybe even younger than that. And I was going as a fan before we ever played it. And so that was just really special. It's a great festival. Big up Warren. who's the head of Sierra Nevada. I know he's been going through some health issues. That was my favorite. And then nowadays, I mean, you can't knock Cali Roots, man. Cali Roots is so much fun. Not only is it a great festival, you know, Dan Sheehan and the whole crew do a great job with it. And they bring such an eclectic group of artists, you know, everyone from the big headliners in America to Jamaican acts, both new and old. They gave Expanders stage time a lot of years before we really like had any numbers to deserve it. So I love Cali Roots. And then on top of that, it's like the one day of the year where, you know, the reggae scene it's a pretty tight knit community. All the artists know each other and are friends for the most part. And so it was like the day where you'd see everybody. You'd know that almost everybody's there. Like every band's playing at it. And if they're not playing at it, they're probably there anyway. So like the hang in the artist camping area would just be epic. So Cali Roots, man, I miss Cali Roots a lot. I was supposed to DJ it again and play it this last year when it got postponed. So hopefully I'll be able to do my acoustic set again.
I think it's interesting how you got into this reggae scene, the Cali reggae scene, like the whole story about.
I don't know if you guys can hear Vanessa. She's giving me. Yeah, so Vanessa's bringing up, she was saying I should tell the story of like how Expanders got into the American reggae scene and kind of became part of it, because we had been playing for years in LA, which had this insular, traditional ska, old school reggae scene, groups like Hepcat, Chris Murray, the Agrolites, C Spot, Irie Beats, that was Cheeky's old band. And we had no idea about like the bigger scene blowing up. And we had been into Slightly Stupid when we were kids, but like we knew them as a punk band. We had no idea that they had like blown up. We didn't know who Revolution was and those bands, didn't know who Soja was, you know. And then what happened was that Tribal Seeds, Steve, the lead singer of Tribal Seeds, and maybe someone else in the band, maybe Joe at that time, came, and Rams, I guess. Yeah, their manager Rams came to see the Expanders play at the Roxy because they had heard of us somehow. And then they asked us to do a show with them. And I think that was our first show in the like American scene. It was a Tribal Seeds show. I remember there were 4 bands on the bill. It was Tribal Seeds was a headliner. Stick Figure was direct support. This was a few years before Stick Figure like really blew up. And then we were the band, the second band, and then there was a group from San Diego called Piracy Conspiracy as the first band. And I still have that poster up at my house, at my parents' house, in my old bedroom. And so we did that, and we did a couple shows with Tribal Seeds. We did one up north too in San Francisco with them. And then The Green from Hawaii was the first band that took us on tour from this scene. It was in 2013. They had just put out an EP called Take Me On. And they brought us and The Movement. And this was before The Movement really blew up, because The Movement was first of 3. It was every night The Movement would play, then us, even though it was our first tour, and then The Green. And that was a super, super fun tour.
Came and were like, "Oh, we like your music," and you guys did not know who they were.
I don't even remember that. Let me change the record. And then I see there's some more questions. I will answer those right now. I'm gonna put on. Let's see. I'm gonna put on this Studio One dub record that I really love called Jux Incorporation Part 1. Let's see. I got a new needle recently. All right. It's got a lot of dust on it. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, Toddy says, what? Brian, yeah. I played in the Lions. I've been playing in the Lions since about 2009 or so, something like that. It's been a long, long time. I'm only on one of their records because they recorded like their first two records at the same time, and they came out like years apart. So by the time they got around to putting out new music, it had already been like years. And then, yeah, long story. But even though I played in the band for years and years, and still play in the band whenever they play, I'm not on a lot of the recordings. I'm only on like 3 or 4 songs, and I think it's because one of the albums, the Expanders were touring heavily, and I was like gone when they were recording it, something like that. Okay, sorry, Toddy. What's your favorite reggae band you've seen live? She says mine is the Expanders. You guys put on an amazing show. Oh, thank you very much. I have several. Uh, you know, I've talked about how Midnight is like my favorite band of all time, and I found out about them in January of 2004 at a live show at a festival here in Long Beach. I had never heard of them ever until they came on the stage, and they blew me away. It really changed my life. Like, that's not overstating it. And let's see, I saw them. I was really fortunate enough to see them probably like a dozen times over the years, but I saw them a few times that year, like 3 or 4 times in 2004. And I would make sure to see them multiple times, like every year. And so like that era of Midnight, from when I caught them in early 2004 January until like the next few years, like through about 2008 2009, they were still great after that, but those few years were just like special. So all those Midnight shows, there were a few that rank as my favorite shows I've ever seen. And then also, like, I used to go see Culture, obviously when Joseph Hill was still alive. Saw Burning Spear in 1999 here at the Santa Monica Pier. The last year he toured with his old band before he got all new musicians. It was the same band he had been touring with since the 80s. That was incredible. And I feel like there's a really... And I used to love seeing the Slackers from New York in the early 2000s. The Slackers were like the best band you could see, man. So those are some of my answers. Okay, let's see. Kyle, you should try and find that Donovan Francis album. Yes, that's on my list for sure. Carl, what's up, man? Me and Carl are both having voice issues today. I read your post. I hope that gets better. Carl says missed the early Expanders and Solutionaries days. Yeah, Carl used to come see the Expanders at the little bar in the Valley where we used to always play. I do too, man. I really do too. Yeah, it was the Bob Marley Fest, Carl, where I saw Midnight the first time. Now it's called the Ragamuffins Fest, but back then it was still called Bob Marley Day. They would have 2 days, and I would go like to both days and get there super early, not want to miss anyone. And I'm really glad I did, because that day, Midnight, the next year Midnight was already a headliner, but when I first saw them, they were just on the cusp of like people knowing who they were, and they were the second band of the... And so if I had not got there early, I would have missed them, and then who knows. Brian says, why are you not with the Expanders anymore? Totally fair question. It's not something I really talk about publicly, and not because there was any kind of like drama or bad blood or anything. I just kind of feel like a band is so much like a relationship. It's almost like asking like, why are you not with your wife anymore or something? There's just so many reasons, and so subtle and complicated, so many things that it's just like not even, something that could adequately be discussed on a platform like this. And so I totally understand why people ask, and so no, like, don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't have asked. But it's not really something that's like gonna go into in a lot of detail on these kind of things. But those are still my boys. We all love each other. My dog is harassing me. He doesn't like when I talk too much. Wingatron, what's up, man? What is your favorite vinyl release in the last 2 years? Now, do you mean like new music that came out on vinyl, or like a reissue of old music? Because there's been a lot of great stuff reissued in the last couple years. I will tell you, let's see if I can just quickly look around. Trying to see if I can spy something. Well, here, check this out. This just came out. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let's see. Studio One has been releasing a lot of. Oh, new. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. It sucks to say, man, but I'm just not like super into a lot of new music, and the stuff I am into doesn't get released on vinyl too much. Yeah, that's a horrible, uninteresting answer, but I think that's like my answer because I'm not into like a lot of new stuff. I love like a lot of the new, like I love Kabaka Pyramid, but he's not really releasing vinyl. I love Chronics, and I've got like pretty much all the Chronics there is to have on vinyl. But he doesn't release everything on vinyl either. Let's see. I don't know if this counts as 2 years ago. It might be a little bit older than that, but let me check in. Favorite Bad Religion album. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. I'm not going to look too long. If I can't find it, I can't find it. Okay, well, I'll just say that there's not a lot of new vinyl I like that much because not a lot of the bands that I like are releasing vinyl. I wish 4-Piece Band would put out some vinyl. I want all the 4-Piece Band albums on vinyl. And I will say 4-Piece Band is my favorite current non-Jamaican reggae band. They're from Guam, and JC is originally from Hawaii. I love those guys so much. If you don't know 4-Piece Band, check them out. It's spelled like 4-Piece, Forpeace band. I love all their stuff, their first 2 albums. And you know how it is, like a band's first album is sometimes your favorite. And I understand how as an artist, that's like frustrating. You're like, come on, I can never do better than my first album. But that being said, their first album, I love it so much. It's like really special to me. And they also played at our wedding. So that made them even more special. Okay, Andrew, favorite Bad Religion album. I have 3. I can't choose between these 3. It's Suffer, No Control, and Against the Grain. Those 3. And if I had to whittle it down to 2, it would be Suffer and No Control. I can't choose between those 2. But I have a really hard time leaving out Against the Grain as well. So those three records. And then they have a bunch of other great records too. Generator's really good. Recipe for Hate's really good. Stranger Than Fiction's really good. I really liked an album called No Substance. That's like one of my guilty pleasures by them. That's a late 90s album. Kyle, you saw if you're talking about 4-Piece Band, right? I thought you were saying you saw Bad Religion at Cali Roots. I was like, I didn't know that. This, I will say, since we were talking about new vinyl, even though this is not new music, this is a nice like new reissue from the Studio One label. They're from the Vault series. It's got some really, really good stuff on it. This tune right here, number 5 on side 1, called Dog Agua Bite You, Take 5 by Prince Tallis. I've never heard of Prince Tallis, but that song is a banger. Heavy one. Who are your favorite DJs on the West Coast? Well, I gotta say, man, shout out and respect to the late great Carlos Culture, who passed away a couple months ago. Like shockingly, none of us saw that coming. Carlos was the resident DJ at a club in San Diego called Winston's Beach Club that had reggae night every Wednesday. Expanders played there many times, had some of our best shows ever, and definitely in San Diego there. And he was always the DJ and the MC for years and years, man. So that was just like a really, really, that was just a bummer. But you know, got to give it to Chuck Foster here in Reggae Central. He has been one of the biggest reggae collections, and he plays it all on the radio every Sunday. And a lot of if I had to choose a single person who was the biggest influence on me in terms of like the Jamaican music that I like, it would be hard to say whether Roger Steffens or Chuck Foster had a bigger impact on me, just because the amount of music that they played that I would get to hear. Vanessa, What's your favorite album cover art? Ooh, that's good. I think it's downstairs. I have a book of great album cover art, but there's one that's a go-to for me. So here, this is one of my favorites, and I think this is even your. I think this is Vanessa's record. We both have a copy. Lone Ranger M16. This is one of the great reggae album covers. I mean, just look at it. You know, done by. Look at that. Look at the back too. I mean, doesn't get much better than that. I'll show you another one too. Oh yes, here it is. I love stuff. Oh, hold on. There's one here that I got to show you guys. So the 80s, in the 80s, and especially the digital era, they had some of the greatest covers. By the way, has everyone gone to the Reggae Podclash merch store and gotten your Reggae Podclash merch? Got some good stuff up there. So, what's that? Oh yeah. So back to DJs. My favorite DJ to go see live is hands down Boss Harmony. His name is David Orlando. He spins at the Dub Club. Him and Tom Chastain. Tom Chastain's another one, and Boss Harmony also does Punky Reggae Party. So Boss Harmony is like, if you got to go see a reggae DJ, he's the one. He's hands down my favorite. He just has the best selections. He knows when to put the right song on. He's a great mixer. He's the greatest. So, Bubba, we got, what's up, man? We've actually got 27 watching Facebook and YouTube combined. I think you're seeing just the YouTube numbers. StreamYard aggregates them for me. But anyway, yes, thank you for everyone who's watching. This is a great cover. I just got this one. It's an album I've always liked and never had. Horace Martin, Watermelon Man. And what makes it great is the back. There's this cover artist named Lemonious, I'm sorry, who would do like these amazing like comic style stuff in the 80s. So dope. It says, "Where you gonna pay me for me blasted melon where you nyam?" You see that? Which means, what are you gonna pay me for the watermelon that you ate? Nyam, you see, Nyam, that means eat, right? So where you gonna pay me for me blasted melon where you nyam? And the other dude who's getting grabbed says, "Leg on my neck, and I will give you a draw herbs, me broke," which is right, let go of my neck, and I'll give you some weed. I'll let you smoke some weed because I'm broke. And then you see right here, it says, "What a rotted neck hold." And then, of course, the kicker. Douche. So, I mean, anything by this guy, Lemonious, is just great. Yeah, scientist for sure. Here's another one. Is this Lemonious too? I don't think it is. But this is this is Lemonious. This is a great one too. Horace Ferguson, Leave Babylon. This is a great album. Yeah. This is an amazing one. And then this one is just like, I don't know why I love this one so much. Electrocutioner Phase 1. This dude's like, I don't know who this guy is. Looks like the bishop in chess or something. And this, I don't know. I always like kind of feel bad for this guy. I'm like, what did he do? What did he do? Yeah, Rachel, the Dub Club quarantine, like that's been one of the best parts about. It's been one of the best and worst parts about quarantine. The worst is like not being able to go to Dub Club, but the best is that they're like they're doing their live stream still, which is amazing. Hey James, what's going on? So anyone tuning in late, yeah, Bubba Master is agreeing with me that Boss Harms is one of the best DJs in LA in general. He's just one of the best DJs I've ever seen. He's one of the greatest. For anyone tuning in late, I'm not doing any music tonight because just my voice was like starting to go, and I can feel that if I start singing, It's gonna once I lose my voice, I sometimes lose it for weeks, and I don't want that to happen again. Thank you, Bubba. Bubba's always on making sure people share the stream. Wingatron, Old Time Something Come Back Again, Volume 2. Oh, you like the album cover? Yeah, that's Nathaniel Ross Mares, who did Volume 1 and Volume 2 for us. Volume 1, there was a mix-up, and the people who pressed vinyl never got the art, so that's why it's like a blank. It's blank, but the art for that was dope. You can find it online. And yeah, he nailed it on the second one too. He's a great artist. I can't. Is my record skipping? It is. Hold on. It was like a perfect skip. Andrew says, where do you see reggae evolving? It's a good question, man. I love what Kabaka Pyramid is doing, and Chronix, especially Kabaka Pyramid's like last mixtape he just put out this week, the Immaculate mixtape. The way he specifically blends hip hop and dance hall and reggae, I really love his style. I think Von Benjamin of Midnight and Akabeka did something to reggae that's never been done and will probably never be matched and never be duplicated. That's one of my favorite evolutions of reggae is Midnight. Carl, your hustling culture came with a skip? That's horrible. You should have told me that. We would have got you another one. Maybe we still can. Wingatron mixtape is where it's at. Again, I want to do a mixtape this year. I want to do actually you specifically, Wingatron, are one of the people that has kind of put that idea in my head, because you were asking me to do I've been thinking about this for a while, but it popped into my head again when you were talking to the other week, you were asking for me to do some rub-a-dub style stuff. And I love doing that kind of thing. And I love writing over old rhythms. And so I want to put a mixtape together of, write some songs and do some original lyrics over some old school instrumentals and dubs, and even maybe redo some expander songs over some old school rhythms, stuff like that. So I think this year I'm going to work on a mixtape. Some toasting, all that kind of stuff. No, I believe you, Carl. I believe you, Carl. Why are you saying no? What did I ask? Did I ask something? Mixtape. Mixtape's the way to go. It's dope that everyone's been putting out the mixtapes and stuff. Chronix's mixtape too. He did too. The Start of Fire mixtape and the Roots and Chalice mixtape. Both of those are insane. But that's been in my head for a long time to do. And I think now that this acoustic album's done, I'm starting on the second one because that whole thing's written. But I think kind of now I know how to record an acoustic album, and kind of got the format down on this last one. This next one will go it'll be less time consuming, although I say that about every fucking album I ever am part of, and it always takes forever. Get the Skins on it. Yeah. Josh and Marcia with their fast British rapping. Definitely want them on it. What's that? I can't hear you. Oh. Yeah. Definitely get them on. James says, gotta go make some sushi, but it was good to see your face. Toss you some ducats. Oh, that's nice, man. I appreciate that, James. I haven't really been asking for donations because I'm just on here yapping. But I do want to say thank you to everybody who has been donating for all these months. It's super, it's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know what else to say. Thank you, everybody. Being out of work sucks. Especially when it's this, and it's just you don't know when it's being out of work sucks. But then when your whole career field, your whole industry is taken away, it's just a crappy feeling. And I really feel for all the musicians, and everyone's situation is different. People have different support systems. I'm lucky that Vanessa has a good job. But I'm really at that point where I gotta starting to think about like getting a real 9 to 5 job, which doesn't mean I'll stop doing music, but it's like how much longer can I wait for like the industry to come back? So if anybody knows anyone who's hiring, I have a college degree, I have a great resume, I'm great at team building and talent relations, and communication is a specialty. I'm a good writer. I'm the editor of Rootfire. So if any potential employers are watching, I'm pretty serious. I need a job. Hire me. Hire me. Um, thanks, James. I appreciate that. And James says that's got to be super hard. I know the anxiety for sure, and I don't want to come across as complaining because, yeah, like it sucks. I love playing music, and right now can't do it for a living. But a lot of people are going through a lot worse. Rachel says don't get into restaurants. Well, funny story about that I'll tell you as soon as I flip this record over. Are there any beers left, Vanessa?
No.
Okay. The thing about beats though, it's like you can't make money doing that anymore, man. You just can't unless you're like just Dr. Dre or something, or like Kanye West. Like you just can't do it, or like Stick Figure or somebody like that, Plus, I don't really make beats. I do, everything I do is like sometimes to my own detriment. It's all acoustic or like real instruments, with a band or whatever. Oh yeah, well, don't get into restaurants. Rachel says I was a waiter for 12 years, and I actually really loved being a waiter. That's something I would definitely do again. It all depends on where you work, and I was lucky enough to work at the same family restaurant for 12 years, so it wasn't like corporate. But I loved it because I like being on my feet. I like food. I like meeting people. You can get with tips, like you end up making in like a 4 or 5 hour shift what you would have made working like a 10-hour shift. That's some kind of like mall job or whatever. So I love being a waiter. Yeah, I was a waiter from 2002 until 2014. And I would do it again. Not maybe right now with COVID and everything. But what I'm really looking for is like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know. I'll walk your dog. Yeah, Rachel says Corona. Yeah, right now. That's the thing. Yeah. But I need something. I have a geography degree, and I have a GIS certificate. Joe's has been bumping the hustling culture record all month in Key West. Nice. That's awesome, man. Thank you for doing that. And dude, I love Key West. I had never been there until last year when Long Beach Dub All Stars played a show in Key West. And that was one of the best shows of that whole tour. We did it out at the end of a long pier. They put us up in a nice hotel. Boats were going by as we played. Somebody tagged us, and I reshared a video like that they took from a boat of like sailing by and like watching us play on the pier. That was super cool. Yeah, GIS is big, right, Bubba? Yeah, I got my GIS certificate, so somebody hire me. Sunset Pier, were you there, Joe? At that show? Were you there, Joe? At that show? I want to know. Oh, you said you just moved down. Cool. Nice, man. It's so beautiful. I love it down there. When I was 18 years old, I'll tell this quick story. When I was literally like a week or two out of high school, myself, John Butcher from the Expanders, and Ben Malamet, my good friend Ben, who was the drummer of the Expanders at that time. He is now the drummer of the California Honey Drops. Our friend Rich put this project together. He was an older guy that we were friends with, who got a lot of us. He was really into reggae. Got a lot of us, showed a lot of us a lot of reggae stuff, and he got this project together with this like kind of wealthy entrepreneur in Key Largo, and their idea was to go down to Jamaica and record an album that Rich had written. He was a good songwriter, of Star Trek themed reggae. And go to Jamaica, hire a bunch of badasses to be on the record, and then put it out as like an infomercial. Sell it like, used to, do they still do this? I don't know. Back in the day, there'd be infomercials at night with like, um, CDs, uh, like that they would sell that were themed, whatever, like sweating to the oldies and that kind of stuff. And their idea was like, we're gonna like market this to like Star Trekky, like fantasy nerds who stay up till 3 a.m. and are gonna see these infomercials. And they recorded this album, and I was on it. I was like 17, playing some guitar and bass on it. And we went to Key Largo for 2 weeks and did a residency at a couple places, and we played on MTV. There was a show called Direct Effect with Bill Bellamy as the host, and we were the band. Like, they would show music videos, and then they would like cut to like the Bill Bellamy as the VJ, like on the beach doing this like beach party, and we were like the band playing. This was 2001. This was a couple months. This was July 2001. So just a couple months before September 11th happened. And yeah, man, we spent 2 weeks in Key Largo playing Star Trek themed reggae. It was a crazy 2 weeks. Matt says, where are you at? Like, where do you live? Sorry, I didn't know. I am in Los Angeles. I'm in Venice Beach, to be specific, which is part of the city of Los Angeles. About 2 miles from the beach. Here, Vanessa and I live in the apartment with our dog Gussie. So that's where I am. I'm here in the loft of my apartment in Venice. And I grew up here in Los Angeles, just about 20 minutes to the north of here in the San Fernando Valley, in Van Nuys. Lived in Van Nuys till I was 16, and then moved a couple miles away to Northridge, right next to Cal State Northridge, when I was 16. And my parents still live there. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, Vanessa and I, she's from the West Side. She's from Inglewood. She grew up in Inglewood. And Vanessa and I moved over here to the West Side, West LA. So if anyone's familiar with LA, there you go. If you're not, then that was just a lot of boring geographical information that means nothing to you. But that is the answer. So let's see if there's anything else you guys want to know. I think I've been doing this for about an hour, and I don't know if anybody else, if you guys want to hear me really talk anymore. I'll definitely be back next week. I'm doing this so that I don't have to miss. I'm not singing tonight so that I don't have to miss a bunch of weeks with a lost voice. But I'll take another question if there is one. Vanessa has a question. What's that? Well, Vanessa asked me, when is my brother Patrick ever going to play a live stream with me again? We'll do that soon. He was out of town for a little while. And then we just haven't learned enough songs together. But we will definitely make that a point. Him and I have decided to practice together every Wednesday. So we're going to learn some stuff. Bubba says, people don't realize that LA is massive. You can drive for 2 hours and still be in LA. And that is true. Los Angeles is one city in name only. It is huge, lots of different communities. It's really segregated, and it's like segregated in within a small space. It's like you'll go like a mile and go from like multi-million-dollar houses to really, really poor neighborhoods, and then you go another couple miles and you're back into multi-million-dollar houses. And South Central LA and like different parts of downtown really like have nothing in common with places like the wealthier places in LA, but they're both still in LA. So it's crazy like that. And there's a huge problem with unhoused people, people who have jobs and are getting paychecks and still can't fucking afford to live anywhere. And are living in their vans and stuff or on the street. It's pretty fucked up. Let's see. Kyle says, have you ever been to Montana? Played a show here? Kyle, I have been to like 45 states, and Montana is one of the states that I've never been to. One of the tours that we did with Tribal Seeds Montana was supposed to be the first stop, and the first couple shows of that tour got canceled, and so we didn't end up doing the Montana show. And then I was never a part of another tour package that went to Montana. And if you're not driving to Montana to play there, then you're not really going to drive through it. It's not really on the way to anything. So like that's why I've never been to Montana. I've never been to either of the Dakotas, and I've never been to, let's see, can anybody guess the fourth state that I've never been to? I've never been to Montana, never been to North Dakota, never been to South Dakota, and there's one other state that I've never been to. And let's see if you guys can guess it. Not that that's a super interesting thing to guess. And if you guess it, you win something so amazing that I can't even tell you at this very moment. We'll figure out what you'll win. But yeah, let's definitely do a Crossing the Streams live again. That was super fun. That was awesome. El Viking says, what do you think about Marc Gasol going to the Lakers? Haha. I love it. See, that's the perfect kind of team for a player like him. He can really come and contribute to a championship team. They don't need him to do too much. He's not going to some bad team and trying to be the best player and lift them to incredible heights. No, he's exactly what the Lakers need. Lakers improve their roster. And that's all the basketball talk you guys are going to get out of me, because I know not everyone wants to hear that. Rachel, because of traffic? Not even. Yes, sometimes because of traffic, but also LA is just massive. Hold on one second. If you have a question, come up here, because no one can hear you talking. Come up here, Ben. Okay, you write it out then. Yeah, put it in the thing. Okay. Rachel says Iowa. Nope, I have been to Iowa. The Bubba Master says Alaska. Nope, I have been to Alaska. Wingatron says Delaware. Nope, I have been to Delaware. Kyle says Michigan. Nope, I have been to Michigan. Rolando says Idaho. Nope, I have been to Idaho. So no one guessed it yet. No one guessed it. Alaska's the one that people usually guessed, but no, I have been to Alaska. Vinny says, what's one of your guilty pleasure artists of today? Cheeky says, how much weed is too much weed? There's no such thing as too much weed, Cheekies. I think you should know that by now. Look, you should probably know that when you see me, I'm always high. I'm not really. That's an inside joke for Cheekies. Let's see. Hold on. Pedro, what's up, man? So bummed. Well, I'll do more Q&A. I like talking more than singing. Let's see. The Bubba says Wyoming. No, that's wrong. I've been to Wyoming. Rachel says Kansas. No, that's incorrect. I've been to Kansas many times. Big up Lawrence, Kansas, man. They got a great reggae scene there in Lawrence, Kansas. Big up the Spinellis. Let's see. Wyoming, no. Alabama, no. I think I told the story earlier today about how we got pulled over in Alabama. I've been to Alabama on several occasions. Wisconsin, nope. I've been to Wisconsin. Wingatron got it. It's Maine. And it's for the same reason that I have never been to Montana or the Dakotas. It's because unless you're going there, you're not really going to drive through it because it's not on the way to anything. So yeah, I have never been to Maine. But those are the four states I've never been to. Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Maine. So I think my first acoustic tour, it's gonna be Man-Like-Devin does the Dakotas, Montana, and Maine. That's the name of the tour. Yes. All right. I think that's it for me tonight. What was your question? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Vanessa says, what's one of your guilty pleasure artists of today? Man, I have some guilty pleasure artists. And I really do. And I was talking about this with my dad because he was like, oh, my guilty pleasure is this Isley Brothers record. And I'm like, Dad, that's not a guilty pleasure because that's an awesome record. A guilty pleasure, the way I would define it, is something that you really like you listen to it like for fun because you want to, but you would be embarrassed for anybody else to know. Like if someone's like listening to your iPod and that comes on, you're like, oh shit, that's embarrassing. To me, that's a guilty pleasure. And for me right now, it's this artist named Phoebe Bridgers. She's like a singer-songwriter, like super emo. She's from LA, and I heard one of her songs in a TV show, Grand Army, and on Netflix. And like I was like, that's a cool song, and I looked it up. I googled the lyrics that I could remember and found the song, and I started listening to her, and like I really like her. But it's a guilty pleasure. It's not like something I'm gonna go tell other people to listen to because, like, there's nothing. I don't know why I like it. I just think she's a good songwriter, and I like her songs, and it's just emo enough for me. Vanessa doesn't really like her. So that's the thing. It's a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure. It's not the thing that you're like, trying to get everyone into. It's just, you know what? I'll just keep this for myself. And if nobody knows I listen to this, I'm fine with that. Wingatron says, mine is the band Coast Modern. Yeah, let's leave it with that. Whatever. Everybody, put your guilty pleasures in here. If I'm going to embarrass myself. For who? Coast Modern? Really? Hey, Chris. That's okay. You didn't miss much. I'm not singing today. I kind of had like a weird throat thing. So I just was doing a question and answer. But I guess I'll go for a few minutes. I'm asking everybody what their guilty pleasure is. Hall & Oates. See, I don't know. Is that a guilty pleasure? Like, remember, the way I'm defining guilty pleasure is like you really love it and enjoy it, but you'd be embarrassed for other people to find out that you listen to it. If your iPod's on shuffle and it comes up, it's like the thing you're skipping really quick and hoping never, no one ever heard. So like, yeah, my guilty pleasure right now is this artist named Phoebe Bridgers. He's like super emo singer-songwriter. I think she's really good. Also, an old punk band called No Use for a Name from the 90s. They're really bubblegummy, and yeah, guilty pleasure of mine that I love. I think Tony Sly, the late great Tony Sly, is a great songwriter, but something that I'm not gonna like bump in front of too many people. Unfortunately, Cheeky's had to listen to a lot of it because John Butcher is also a fan, so him and I would listen to them in the Expanders van a lot. Samuel says BTS Dynamite. Is that a group? Yeah, I don't really know. What else? What's another like Cypress Hill? Cypress Hill, I don't know. I think you can yeah. You don't have to be ashamed of Cypress Hill. I don't know if I'd call them a guilty pleasure. If someone told me they like Cypress Hill, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I'm not gonna laugh at anyone for liking Cypress Hill. Like Rachel says, Good Charlotte. There you go. That's a perfect example. That is a guilty pleasure. That is embarrassing, Rachel. Huh? Third Eye Blind? That's Vanessa's. Yes, that is a guilty pleasure. That is embarrassing. But you got to own it, You got to just be like, no, fuck that. They're good. I don't care. You don't have to like it. But I'm still embarrassed that I like it. Let's see, like within reggae, do I have any guilty pleasures? It's kind of fucked up to say. I don't want to call out like any bands. There are some bands in the American reggae scene that I actually really enjoy that I wouldn't have thought I would, but I don't want to call them out by like calling them a guilty pleasure. Like from Counting Crows. Yes, Counting Crows is a guilty fucking pleasure. Yes, that is embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. This is good. This is awesome. Matt says Smoothie. I don't know Smoothie, so I can't tell you. Sounds like a fucking guilty pleasure to me. Sounds embarrassing as fuck. Oh, Cheeky's. Let's see. Cheeky says, my guilty pleasure is the first 20 seconds of any Glenn Washington song. I don't think that's a guilty pleasure, Cheeky's. I think that is something you wear with pride. And I could see. If we're being really literal about this, I can see Glenn Washington, who I don't have enough of a voice today to even attempt. I can see that coming on, and you like looking around, and someone heard you listen to it, and you got embarrassed. I can see that. That's right on the cusp, though. Yes, Cheeky's just typed out how Glenn Washington sounds. Oh man. Let's see. Bubba Master says, I played with Mest and Save Ferris last year. The Aquabats? Yeah, that's borderline. I don't know. There's something like, I guess Aquabats were I was the right age for the Aquabats. I'm 37. So like when the Aquabats first album came out, I was like in junior high school. So like that was the right time for me to be into that. Like Real Big Fish would be like a guilty pleasure. Aquabats, I don't know. There's something like still cool about them to me. Yeah, I don't think you should feel guilty about the Aquabats. Mana, I don't know. Is that a guilty pleasure? Vanessa says Mana is a guilty pleasure. I couldn't really speak to that. Bubba says all those bands are my homies now. Yeah, it sucks when your guilty pleasures become your homies. You can never tell them that they're your guilty pleasure. Yeah, this is good. I actually want to hear some more guilty pleasures. I'm trying to think like in reggae. Cheekies, you got to have another guilty pleasure, man. I'm trying to think in reggae who's like a guilty pleasure of mine that I would feel comfortable saying like, yeah. I was gonna say like, no. See, okay, Samuel just said Informer from Snow, and that popped into my head, but and so on the same token, I was gonna say like Aini Kamosi because he had like Hot Stepper, you know. But both those artists were actually kind of dope. Like, there's actually some good Snow. Chris Cheeky says any Christmas song in reggae. So what you're saying is like you like it, like Peter Brogg's 12 Days of Christmas. So you're saying that you like you like a Christmas song in reggae, but it's like kind of embarrassing. Peter Brogg's 12 Days of Christmas. I don't know, man. Cheekies, I don't think you're capable of having a guilty pleasure. All these are like really good. Like, they're funny. Like, a guilty pleasure doesn't have to be funny. You know what I mean? Like, this artist I was talking about, Phoebe Bridgers. Hold on, let me change the record. Hold on. I'm not going to play. I'll get kicked right off Facebook for that. Hold on, I'm just changing the music. Like, oh man, if you've not had the pleasure of hearing 12 Days of Christmas by Peter Broggs, go check that out. Yeah, like I was gonna say, like, for example, this artist that I like, Phoebe Bridgers, there's nothing funny about her, you know? She's an emo artist. There's nothing like, there's no joke to it. There's no like, oh, I like this because it's like so bad it's good or something. No, like it's something that I genuinely like. Like, she's trying to be good, and I think she's good. 12 Days of Christmas, I think it's funny enough that you don't have to feel guilty about it. I'm really trying to boil this down to a science, like what a guilty pleasure is. Rachel says, what about gospel reggae? Well, Toots, man. Toots was gospel. Like Alton Ellis, like all that. Samuel says Hot Stepper was the dance jam in college. Okay, Andrew says there's this Mexican banda version of You're Still the One by Shania Twain, tubas and accordions. That's your guilty pleasure? If you love it and you don't want anyone to know you love it, then that's your guilty pleasure for sure. All right. I think that's going to do it for me tonight, everybody. Eddie Murphy's reggae tracks. If you like Eddie Murphy's reggae tracks, yes, that is a guilty pleasure. There was all this talk about like, oh, he actually did a good job. Like, people liked Eddie Murphy's reggae. I listened to it. I mean, I'm going to just go out on a limb and assume that Eddie Murphy is not watching this right now. And I'm going to say that I did not like it. I felt like it should have been funny. Like, he was trying to do like good reggae, and that made me like not like it. Because I was like, this is not believable for me. If it had been a funny reggae song or something. Yeah, that's the thing, Bubba. It's not horrible, and that's why I don't really like it. I don't know. All right, everybody. Thanks for indulging me. I didn't want to miss Tuesdays. I really look forward to these things. I couldn't sing tonight, but this was like really fun. I would do this more often. In fact. All right, now we're just going off the rails. All right, everyone. I will see you this Saturday when Roger Steffens is going to be our guest on the Reggae Podclash. This should be a really great episode. If you don't know who Roger Steffens is, look him up. But just if you're interested in hearing some people talk about reggae, you're hard pressed to find somebody more interesting to listen to than Roger Steffens. And he's got an interesting voice. That's true. You probably all heard it before. He's done voiceovers in all kinds of movies. He was in Forrest Gump. All right, y'all. I'll see you this Saturday on the Reggae Podclash. If you're looking for holiday gift ideas, go to the Reggae Podclash store, the merchandise store at rootfire.net, and click on the store tab. And we've got hoodies, shirts. We've got crop hoodies. We've got mugs. Oh, I didn't bring a mug up here. We've got hats, which I have not got a hat yet. And get yourself some Reggae Podclash merchandise. And I will see everyone this Saturday for the Reggae Podclash. And next Tuesday, I'll be back singing again. All right, y'all. See you soon. Later.